Welcome back to Hot Rod Guy Garage, and this can be another episode on this hack job of a 65 Mustang. As you can see behind me, I've been doing a little work, so let me flip it around and show you where I'm at. And alright, I'm going to start this video off, instead of flipping around at first, by saying, if you're new to the channel, check out the series that this car is in. This video itself will be in a playlist. Check out what this thing has been since the beginning. It's quite a mess. So let me flip around and show you what I've done. So I've been working on trying to get this red paint off. I went and bought some paint stripper and started stripping the paint. Well, attempting to. What I have found is what they have sprayed over the factory paint, which you can see most of that is the factory paint there now that it left Ford with. They have took an asphalt-based undercoating, sprayed the rear halves of these areas, okay, and then brush painted this red paint on top of it, which is why it literally is just falling off this stuff. I mean, I can scratch off my finger. What that causes a problem with is paint stripper does not take off rubberized spray can undercoating. It turns it to goo. So what you're left with is, I can strip red paint off a paint stripper, then I'm left with a black goo that I have to thin or wash off, and then you have to go back in and kind of wire brush it and sand it and scuff it to try to get the rest of the mess off. So that's where I'm at. So let's see if we can get this red paint off this side and the firewall. I still need to drop that transmission out, get it out of the way, but I may just go ahead and get the rest of this red paint off first. I'm just going to see what happens. Well, cancel pulling the transmission out. I'm just not going to be able to do it until I get this cowl back in here. And we're going to have some help here at the shop to help me set it out. So what I'm going to work on, I'm going to work on this build on this firewall. I'll take care of my flat disc, and then we'll go from there. So we got that well dressed there on the firewall, best could. So time to break out the stripper, see if we can't get the paint off the firewall. And I just want to be known, I hate chemical strippers. But it's about the only way I can get it off here. Without just spending hours and hours and hours of scraping and wire brushing. And it's the fastest way to get rid of the red, where I can deal with the other mess that's under it. So, yeah. Used to paint stripper would do a lot better than what it does nowadays, but we got this, watered down version of this crap. And so I'm not wearing no gloves or anything. This stuff don't even burn anymore when it gets on your skin. Probably still not good for you, but it's not good stuff either. But it's a lot easier if you just do this stuff right the first time, so somebody don't have to come back behind you and fix your mess. So I'm gonna flip it around. I've been wire brushing for literally an hour. Run 2 drill batteries dead. You know, fun stuff. Some of the undercoating's factory stuff, the thick tar-like stuff that's mega hard, that's factory. This thin, gooey stuff, that's definitely spray can undercoating. So I'll flip it around, I'll show you where I'm at. And our next step to continue to get the rest of this red paint off from under the hood of this car. So here's where I'm at with the firewall. I'm at the point where I need to pull the mass cylinder loose and the brake splitter there. I'm just going to pull that stuff loose so I can get in that back corner. You know, clean that up best I can. Now, I'm not going to go overly extreme under the hood here. I just want to make it look decent. It ain't got to be perfect, but it needs to look better than what it did before. And to be honest, I could spray black spray paint over this right here, and it would look better than it did before. But that's not what we're going to do. We're going to actually do this correctly. And as you can see, I got some rust up there at the top of the firewall I got to take care of. And that'll be something we'll talk about later on in this video, but you see there's some surface rust a little bit everywhere. And since we're using a chemical paint stripper, we're going to need to etch this metal. But we'll get into that a little deeper in this video. So I'm going to pull this stuff off where I can get in this corner, get it cleaned up, get as much of this red gloppy crap off as I can, and as much of this tar undercoating. As you can see, my hands are black. Yeah, that's the fun part of that. So let me get back to work. And if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber, because about 88% of my viewers are not subscribers. If y'all don't hit that subscribe button, it'd really help us do that on this project. Well, I took a little while and I went ahead and coated this side with some stripper. It's been about 5 minutes. It'd be nice if we'd take all the black off too, instead of just making it all smeary and nasty. But fun stuff. Daisy's down here on the floor. She don't want no part of this. So got it cleaned up around the mass cylinder over there. Pretty good down there in that area. Cleaned up pretty decent. That's about all we can do is hope for the best. So guys, at this point, I've literally got 3 days in this mess. Between the driver's side, putting an apron in it, firewall, to the point where we're on the passenger side. Very slow go process, because even though it don't have to be perfect, and we're just going to paint it black under here with no body work, I want it to at least last. I mean, you can't put paint over bad stuff, and that's all this car's covered with is bad stuff. So hopefully, let's just hope this apron comes cleaner or easier than the other side did or the firewall did. I don't expect it to, but you never know. Man, this is some miserable crap to do. Mostly because of the undercoating. Chemical stripper part of it's not that bad to do. Makes a little bit of a mess, but the undercoating adds that level of nasty to it. Typically, the paint just all fold up. You scrape it off, wire brush the rest of it off, you know, etch it, and you're good paint. This, it's like 3 different levels of mess. You strip it first, get all the red off, scrape it, coat the red again that didn't come off because it's mega thick, scrape it, thinner wash it with a towel, trying to get the undercoating off. Then you end up with your hands, you know, like this, caked, floor caked, caked, and a mess. Then you scrape it some more. Then you wire brush it and scrape it some more, wire brush it, scrape it some more. So at this point, I just thinner washed it. So I'm going to flip the camera around and show it to you. And then after this sits a few minutes, I'm going to begin my wire brushing and scraping process again. And once we get all this off, I can start sanding it under the hood now. Then maybe we can get some primer sprayed on this, hopefully. So after 3 coats of paint stripper and thinner wash and scraping, like I explained before, this is what we're left with. Pretty nasty, and a lot of you probably wonder why I didn't take the hood hinges off, because I'm scared to, because everything else has been screwed up. They're tight. I don't want to mess with them, at least for right now. So that's where we're at. Most of that's factory black paint and some of the gold overspray peeking through. You can see there where the car was painted originally. So let's get to the wire brushing process again. I'm not going to video that because, you know, you see me do enough of it there. But let me get busy and I'll be back and we'll see where we end up. And at this point, I've done all the wire brushing, sanding, and scraping I'm doing under the hood of this car. It's not perfect. It does look a crap ton better. And I'll flip around and show it to you. But at this point, I want to show you some of the stuff that popped up on the driver's side apron. I got a few more little small rust spots that popped up. And where we're at and what we're going to go through from here. So as you can see, we had quite a bit of surface rust under everything, which we knew about this in the last video. Got a small hole popped up right there, right beside the VIN. The other VIN is still stamped in both sides. This area, a lot of that is factory undercoating, the thick tar stuff. I've chipped as much of it as I can, wire brushed as much as I can. Without actually blasting this area, that's the best it's going to get. All down behind the steering box, all down through that apron. It's all pretty clean. Same through there. And there's just a couple little dots of red that are still remaining. But I think it is good enough to hit it with some OSFO, let it sit overnight and etch. And I'll come back in here tomorrow, scuff it all down. We should be able to spray some primer on this. So let's see where we get. And to save me some time, I'm going to spray the OSFO with my paint gun. So being able to spray it like that will let it lay out a lot better and make my sanding job a lot easier later. And also let it run down in some of those places where it needs to go. And hopefully kill any of the surface rust that is remaining and, you know, stuff like this. So we'll let that stuff sit for a little while. Let it do its thing and we'll see where we get. Still got crap all over my face. But that should also help neutralize any of that paint stripper. It may be any cracks, even though I washed it out several times with thinner and brake cleaner and air hose and, you know, so on and forth. OSFO pretty much leaves a protective layer. So hopefully it'll kill any of this remaining rust. I can go in here, dot up some of these rusty spots that we have, and we can make some forward progress. I'd really like to get the core sport back in the car along with the cowl. But it's Monday, it's late in the afternoon, and the cowl still hasn't showed up. Thanks, UPS. But we'll let this sit here a little bit, see how it's working, and we'll go from there. Well, another day messing with this thing. I come in here this morning, I welded up some of them rust holes and some of them places that need to be addressed. So let me flip it around and show it to you. Alright, had a little rust hole right here. I dotted that up this morning. I welded these two places up. Welded our little rust hole over here by the VIN number up. I welded this little dude up. now that I peeled that back and treated the rust that was under it. So now I need to go in here, I'm going to flap this, knock these down, then we can go from there. Well, it's a little while later. Yep. So I went ahead and took those hood hinges off. I went ahead and drilled me some locating pinholes on both sides. So I took those off. That bolt back there was cross-threaded. The rest of them were all jacked up. We're going to tap through them all the nut inserts, and got that all straightened out. So I think I'm finally at the point where I can work on the core support. I'm not going to spray anything on this until I get the core support in. That way I can primer it all as one unit. Same with the cowl till I get the lower in it. Maybe even the upper. I'm not going to do anything with the underhood, but it's protected with the OSPO, so it should be good and shouldn't surface rust. So let's get to it. As you can see, I took a piece of 3/4 inch masking tape and ran it straight across right there and cut on the bottom side of it, and that should make us a nice clean cut. And get those two little pieces removed. And as you can see, I just come down, cut straight across right there, right on the other side of the spot weld lip. So now I need to recreate that cut in our new panel, but first I'm going to stick it up here and see how it fits. And when I say see how it fits, I'm just going to stick it up here and just make sure that it's actually going to go in the same hole. So if we learn anything with aftermarket metal, it hardly ever fits right. So I want to at least make sure that it looks like it's going to drop in the right position before I go down here and start trimming on the bottom. And to start, I'm just going to do this just like I did the other. I'm just going to take a small piece of masking tape. I know where our flange is, so I'm just going to run straight across here. Straight up to there. Just like I did. Just like I did on the inside. So I'll repeat this on the other side, and that'll let me take my flap disc and trim this up if needed to fit down there below. And what I like to do, I will line up these oval holes, or lack of, on either side, and just put a self-tapping screw in it to hold it. And what that'll let me do is mark where my flanges are going to need to meet. And as you can see, this core support does not fit flush over there. I could run some screws in it and pull it up, what have you. But for now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to mark where our spot welds are going to have to be, along with the spot welds down there. And grind the EPDM off of it, spray some weld through primer, and we should be able to start spot welding this in here in just a few minutes. A few minutes for me, mere seconds for you. And alright, I got all my plug weld holes drilled. I got it cross measured, make sure it was square. I'm going to show you something about aftermarket parts. That's the kind of fit right there you can expect. If we haven't seen enough of that through this whole car, that's what we got. So I'm going to get this core support welded in here, and then I'll be back. And alright, I got all my plug welds in. Got them knocked down. Pretty decent. Got a good fit up. Even over here. And over here. I've still got a little welding to do on the inside, but got all the outside structure all squared up, all ground down, and like I said, got a pretty decent fit up, good penetration, and that's about all you can ask for. So, still a lot of work to do. Feel a little better now the core support's in. So I'm going to spray a little weld through primer where I ground these welds down for now. I'm going to do some more welding on the inside in here, and then I'll be back. And alright guys, it's getting a little later in the day, and as you can see I got the cowl mocked up. So let me flip around and I'll show you what the next step is. So I got that core support finished up. I took a little seam sealer and just cleaned that bottom seam up there a little bit. Got the inside welded up, and I done the same back there, along with a couple other patches that we'd put in, and some of this I took out under the hood and a couple of those little small places. But I've got the cowl mocked up, and what I done, I went ahead and put a ratchet strap in through the hole on the firewall for the wiring harness, and one in through the heater hose hole, just to pull just the slightest amount of tension. Now these aren't tight. You can see it move. Just enough to hold a little outward tension on it, so I can mock this cowl up. So I got this cowl from Classic Industries. It's not a real great piece. I thought it was funny that right here is part number, and you can see clearly under that black marker they tried to mark Made in Taiwan off with. This is Made in Taiwan, but this is their part number right here. This was absolutely the cheapest cowl assembly I could find. So it was about $413 after shipping. So I'm not going to dive too far into the cowl assembly because that's going to be a different video. But I just want to kind of stop here and show you the point where I'm starting to mock it up. So that said guys, this video is probably getting pretty long, and once again I have to cut it off about, somewhere around the 24 to 28 minute mark. I don't know how far along it is, but we're somewhere in there. So that's going to be it for this video. If you don't care, hit that like button, comment down below, share this video with your friends. And if you're not a subscriber and you're watching this, please hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a dime, but it does let me help him out on this horrible project. And if you are a subscriber, I greatly appreciate you guys and the support that you gave on this project. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching.